Welcome everyone to the Town of Chatham Board of Health meeting for June 21st, 2020. My name is John Beckley. I'm the chair. I'd like to read a very brief opening statement. It shall be the policy of this board to conduct its meetings under the open meetings law so as to encourage public participation whenever time permits and as part of an agenda item discussion. I'd like to start off by establishing our quorum tonight. When I call your name, please indicate whether you're here. Dr. Noble Hanson. Here. Ron Broman.
Here.
Was that Ron?
No, that was me. I forgot.
Oh, say it. Okay, Ron Broman was intending to call in. Ron, are you on the call? Okay. Ed Sheehan. Here. Carol Boyce.
Here.
I'm here, and we have two possible alternates. Dr. Alan Ward. I don't see Dr. Ward, but I do see
I'm here. I'm here.
Dr. Ward, you're on the call.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Welcome. And Dr. Richard Edwards.
Here.
Okay.
John, this is my last meeting. I guess I go off the board as of today.
Okay. I did not know that. Well, that's a sorry thing to hear. You've been terrific, Dr.
Well,
Ward.
thank you.
How many years, Dr. Ward?
Well, it was 9, and then I've added a couple, I think, maybe 11.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you. We have two agenda items tonight. The first is a continued show cause hearing for John McGrath at 32 Mill Hill Road, and I see Mr. McGrath is in the audience tonight, and we'll ask John to make some comments after a brief introduction of why we're here, why this is on the agenda, and kind of what brought us to this point. So could Judy give us kind of a snapshot?
Sure. So back in 2016, we started getting complaints about a collection of rubbish, garbage, etc. on the property at Mill Hill Road, 32 Mill Hill Road. A lot of salvage type items, metal, tires, those types of things. We had Mr. McGrath into the board several times back then and asked him to begin cleaning up the property. He did do some minor cleaning, but it just kept getting worse as the years have gone by. In November, he was sent a letter from the Board of Health. He was also sent a letter from Fire and Building Department ordering him to clean up the property. And then just, again, no changes really were noticed. And then so we, after several discussions with Town Council, decided that the next step would be to send him another nuisance order from the Board of Health, asking him to, again, clean up the property and or appear before the Board of Health. So that's where we are today.
Okay. Mr. McGrath.
Yes.
Glad to see you came.
Well, I was over at a neighbor's house a little while ago, a week or two ago, and watched some type of meeting where I was brought up.
Mr. McGrath?
Why don't you come up to one of the chairs here, John, and put,
Here?
yes, one of those chairs, and press the button that makes the little green light show. That way we can capture.
You have to hold it or just...
Just press it and make it green.
Yep.
Okay, so you're now,
Weeks ago, I was watching a little bit of the TV with this Channel 18, and I don't know who it was. Oh, he won't show up. Well, if I had gotten a letter or something, I'd be here.
mm-hmm.
In fact, I was hand-delivered these two. One for a Teams meeting, but I don't have a computer. I was going to call in and figure out how to do this on Teams or Zoom or whatever. I'm back in the 17th century, and I'm staying there. Computers, man, when all the electricity shuts off, you're all going to be digging your heads into the sand to play ostrich. I just don't know. I just disappeared for 2 weeks. And if nobody's seen changes up by the road on that property, you're all blind. Things are disappearing, but I can't keep up with people going to the end of the road to TFW Nickerson's. Oh, we're not taking metal anymore. Well, they gotta finish their job that day or whatever. They're driving out the road. Because twice I've come up into the road from work, and there's a pickup truck with two guys in the bed rifling shit out. What are you doing? If the town doesn't like it, maybe they should put a cop there 24/7 to say, oh, no more dumping, because I hate signs. This last thing with voting in old age home here on 28 opposite Barn Hill, that's ridiculous. One sign would have done, not 18 or whatever it was. This town's, I don't know if I really want to be in this town anymore with all these imbeciles, people with so much money, they want to tear down Cape Cod and build their own structure, making this an ugly, ugly place to live, because they don't give a damn about you and I. And you and I almost became family, I believe, back in 80, 81, John. I almost married your sister, right?
I remember you dating her. I don't remember almost marrying
Well, she
her,
wanted
but
4 kids, I wanted 2. No ifs, ands, or buts. We separated. But anyways, that's neither here or there. But I just disappeared. I drive people's vehicles to Florida, Texas, California during the winter. And, sorry. While I was gone this last trip, and I thought I had a lot of it cleaned up, I come back, there's 4 refrigerators, 2 microwaves, a commercial refrigerator with the doors off, 4 stoves, and a dryer. I did not put them there, but I almost came here today. I'd like to know what the town owns. Because you weren't around in 1983 when I bought the property. You didn't pull any money out of your pocket to help buy the property. It's my property. And the only thing I've been thinking, why does the town want it, besides the aggravation of somebody's eyesight or whatever, why does the town want it cleaned off, that space? Because they want to put sewer, gas, and electric or whatever on that side of the street underground? There's a steep hill there. You dig into it. I'm going to have the street into my yard. The reason why I've put some of the stuff, not the stuff that I've been taken away to Middleborough or the dump, some of these people, they don't want to pay the Chatham dump high prices to get rid of a fridge or whatever. You guys, by advertising my property, the front page, I guess have given right to anybody to drive by my property and empty their shit onto it. And I almost came here today. If you don't like it, you guys take a bulldozer and take your 6 to 8 feet and clean it, except for my car and my wood pile, which he said was all right. But I've been slowly doing it. I'm disabled, have been for many years. I try not to show it. I'm also coming on 67, so you're picking on somebody that's where age? I'm disabled, handicapped. I do the best I can. I just bought a trailer to try and help remove this stuff. I got my next door neighbor, since I can't pick it up, come up with his machine, zoop, and dump it in a trailer. I'm trying, I'm working on it. But my life does not revolve around anybody else's life on this planet. Your life does not revolve around anybody else's on this planet. We live, and here on Cape Cod, we're trying to survive. I will get this shit picked up, and I'm trying to do it as soon as I can. But over 130 hours last week working. Who in their right mind works that? You don't. You don't. None of you do. Have any of you saved a life here in town? 2 lives? 5 lives? 10, 20, 50, 100? I've done close to 200 lives saved from drowning out there. I saved one in the river 3 years ago from drowning with his wife over on the town parking lot yelling at me, "John, Walter's in the water." They just sent me a little postcard of him rowing out to his boat a week or 2 ago. My father told me in 1985, Johnny, it's time to get over the bridge. There's nothing left here for you anymore. But since taking care of my grandfather, Art Gould, for 12 and a half years with Alzheimer's, I was given the dock and shanty to remove the 12 and a half year bill from the estate. Johnny, I don't understand why you want to stay here. Dad, I'm happy here to a point. I'm comfortable. But if I go any place else on this earth to try and live, I feel there's a bunch of idiots that want to take their nose off their face and shove it up my arse. I'm done. You want my property? Buy it. Because I'm thinking of buying a yacht and sailing out of here into the sunset. I will do my best to clean up that road, but I gotta have one of you come over and say, hey, with a tape measure, you gotta be here, here, and here, forward. And I'll get it cleaned up, ASAP. But I'm not gonna be badgered year after year after year when somebody else, they can't go throw their stuff where it should be thrown, and they're dumping on me like I've said. As far as rodents and stuff on the property, you guys are all sick. There's not one rodent on my property with 10 ferrets running around. They instantly kill them. I've been rescuing ferrets for 46 years. I now have adopted 3 more in the last 2 months. 1 from Fairfax, Virginia, 2 from Mendon, Mass. The guy in Mendon, Mass said my wife bought him last May, a year ago, when my 91-year-old mother passed away. A month ago, she says, get rid of those 2 varmints or I'm divorcing you. It's just neither here nor there. But I don't think I'm going to change my attitude or my actions anytime in the future. I am me, and no matter how many times you slam me down, I'm going to get up. I'm still me. So, and I'm not going to take 21 days. I'm not going to get sliced into a certain 3 weeks or whatever. I'm busy.
Well, if I can say, John,
You can say anything. My ears are open.
having begun the focus on your property over 5 years ago, it does not seem to me that the progress you've been making, maybe you've been making progress recently.
Every time I take something off,
doesn't-
5 people throw shit on.
Well, John, I've been seeing the same debris on your property for all those years.
I'm working somewhere else in order to survive to stay here. I'm a native, and you guys are running the natives out of here. And I'm about ready to join them.
Well,
End of story.
our intent is not to run anybody out of anywhere.
Intent.
It's not our intent. Our intent is to bring about compliance with the Public Health Nuisance Code.
Okay.
And that's
Nuisance.
It's been well established.
That Why don't you go to the back side of the airport and clean up town property first?
That's not-
And I can drive you around town to the same actions. But I don't want to complain about anybody else.
No,
I'm not going to take my nose off my face and shove it up somebody else's arse.
the focus of tonight is not to focus on any other
Look,
property in town other
somebody
than
said
yours.
that last time.
The-
When I bought my property in 1983,
Mm-hmm.
there was a junkyard across the street. Oh, we're not talking about Herbie Bassett. We're talking about you.
We are.
Well, how come
And-
you haven't run anybody else through the grist mill like this?
Well, because, John, I think
well,
yours is
because
the
why?
worst. Yours is the worst.
Mine's the worst.
And
No,
it's
the
been the-
airport's the worst.
No.
You're running people out. No more parachuting. Here's a business that's gone away because you run them out. It's just, I'm about ready to walk over the bridge because I'm tired of this. I just want to live, and I want to live in peace.
Well, my sense is the Board of Health is ready to proceed with what's called the self-help remedy, which is the practice of a town having the authority to bring about an abatement or a correction to a long-standing nuisance. And we've spoken with the town council, and the pathway, the legal pathway is right there for the town of Chatham to proceed. And I'd like to have some Board of Health discussion tonight about whether we are ready to take the next step that we've been following, and request that the town proceed with the next legal step in accordance with the town attorney to proceed down that pathway of getting John's property cleaned up. And the way it would work, John, is the town would arrange for a contractor to come in and clean your property. The cost of that cleanup would then be assessed to your property as what's called a lien.
I'm listening.
And whenever it comes time for your property to be sold, that lien would have to be satisfied. That's the way I understand the legal steps.
Can I excuse this whole meeting? What is your name? Carol Boyer? Yeah. Okay, I got
Boyce.
Boyce, B-O-Y-C-E.
Yeah.
Then I got you in the wrong place. Yours, sir.
Richard Edwards.
Okay.
Noble Hanson.
H-A-N-S-E-N. She, Ed. John Beckley.
Mm-hmm.
That's G-I-O-R-G-I-O. or-
Judith Giorgio, yes. Giorgio.
That's what I got. Back in school, long, long, long ago, 60-odd years ago, when the teacher threw all the boys over there, all the girls over there, threw a word at them, sit down, wrong, da-da-da-da. I was one of the only ones left standing against one or two girls on the other side. I've forgotten your first name.
Robert.
Thank you. And thank you for standing up for me in several of the meetings. I've got a lawyer, and I'm about ready to pull his chain on a suit, several of them, against this town. I don't want to go that route. You stay off my property, the roadway will be cleaned up. Otherwise, I'm going to throw my money down and walk away to sue the town, and I'll be off sailing, but the money will come sometime. There's slander here, there's defamation of character, there's a bunch of different things I can go at. I don't want to go that route. This is my town, your town. Why can't we all get along together? But you know that's a fraudulent statement. So how can we remedy this tonight?
Well, I want to get some discussion from Board of Health members on what the sentiments are in terms of proceeding with this action. And we'll see what the board wants to do, John, and it's up to the board members to vote and so authorize if we are ready to do so. I drove by your property tonight. It doesn't
Yeah.
look much different, maybe around
Well, then
the
you're
edges.
blind. Stuff is disappearing.
Well, I'm seeing the same car, I'm seeing the same
The car's
boats.
mine.
I'm
I wrecked
seeing,
it up because I had 3 cruisers coming from different directions after a dinner downtown at Bluefin's. I just wanted to go down and jump into bed. The cruiser coming from Meadowview chased a 100-pound animal out in front of me, and I'm an animal lover. I tried to avoid it. I stuffed the damn car in between a stationary telephone pole and a stop sign, taking out an arborvitae at Julie Harris's corner there, which went over my car with really no damage except for the windshield. I'll have the car back on the road someday soon, but it's going to the shop, maybe this week. Grab a trailer and get it up there to body shop. So there's one thing out of your way. What next?
I paced off the what's your frontage?
296 feet, not 400, as you stated.
Well, that's what I was going. I paced
Yep.
off the debris field, and using my strides, I didn't use a measure.
I strided
I got
3
about
foot.
400 feet, linear feet of debris, and,
It's only about,
so maybe it's 300, maybe there's some that's off of your property. I don't know.
no.
But we
it's-
have to decide as a board let's hear some discussion from board members on what board members think.
Well, I can say, there seems to be some misunderstanding about the whole process here. Mr. McGrath seems to think that it's only 8 or 10 feet of the debris that's on town property that's the problem. And I think the ordinance that we're dealing with here, the nuisance ordinance, is basically relates to the whole property and the ability to see this trash.
It's not
on the-
trash, it's money. Can I see your bank account? I'm
this-
disabled.
Just let me say what I'm saying. That if the property is unsightly to the extent that it degrades the property value of neighbors' property, then that's a nuisance. And even
Degrade.
if it's not, if it's 30 feet from the road, if it's 50 feet from the road, if it's 100 feet from the road, if you're driving by and you look in and you see
So my
whatever
only
it is
remedy right now in my mind is to put up an 8-foot fence the whole distance and close all of you out.
well, I don't know if that might not be one possibility if you actually
No, I
did-
just don't
did-
want to be
did that.
bothered. I want
Well,
peace.
but the problem is you are not allowed under the ordinance to have things in your property that are unsightly to the extent that they affect the value of other people's property. And
You
that's,
got a goddamn junkyard across the street since I bought in 1983. And
Well, that's-
nothing's ever been done.
that's a different.
So now you're a discrimination suit. Everybody's
I
talking
guess you're
about,
welcome to bring any kind of suit you want.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, we're dealing with an ordinance that pertains specifically to your property. Now, maybe there are other properties in town that are also a problem that we might have to deal with later on, but right now, we're dealing with your property. And this, we can't just ignore the ordinance and the fact that your property is unsightly to the point that it degrades the value of other people's property.
I think half the people that are coming over the bridge should turn around and go back. You don't like Cape Cod as it is? Go destroy some other place on earth with all your money.
Well, I don't think your property is characteristic of the average property on Cape Cod.
That's
You-
why
you
I
have an
bought out
you
there
have an
on the dump
exceptional
road.
property.
Huh?
You have an exceptional property. You don't have a property that's typical of the property in Chatham, even the
Why's
property.
that? Why's that?
Because it's very unsightly to the point that it degrades the value of other people's property.
I think a Cape Cod house ripped down and this monstrosity built in its place is unsightly.
Can I hear more Board of Health comments?
Yeah, this is Noble Hanson. I think one other thing I'd add is the fire inspector also was at the property, and it failed the fire inspector's inspection. They declared it a hazard, so I think that's part of what's
I have
forcing
talked
us to do something about
I
it.
have talked to the fire chief over several different aspects of certain allegations against me, and I've already cleared that with him.
Yeah. Well, that raises another point. I think, this is for the board, I think we had discussed possibly an inspection of the property, because I think, is that part of the process? for us to inspect and see what's there and document what's there, and for the future, if we go on a plan, seeing if there is real progress made, that would be another question. But I would say, in my own opinion, this cleaning up of the property goes back now to 2016 or 17, and by most accounts, there hasn't been significant
Are you
progress.
disabled? Are you disabled?
And we are been handed this, the ordinance that your property appears to be a nuisance, and we just have to deal with that. So I would
I
be in
might call
favor
this
of,
board a nuisance.
I would be in favor of going to the next step, where we do the self-help remedy and get a plan in order, document what we have, document
You
what
come
the
by,
town
take
owns in the
pictures
offset.
anytime you want.
And put in place a plan where we can move forward and think ahead, trying to get this cleaned up, so that the problem goes away for you and for all of us. So that would be what I
Okay.
would say to start.
All right. Anybody else want to comment? Ed?
I certainly agree with what you just said. This has gone on so long.
Do you understand disabled?
John, let him,
I can't.
let him speak, and then you can come back in a while.
Yeah.
Ed?
You know, I've been here 20 years, and I've watched that property to deteriorate. I live just about a mile down the road, and, you know, I go there, I look there, and each day or each visit, there's always something new. And I don't know, he's probably true, that people are using his property, excuse me, but that's your fault.
Why is it my fault?
Yeah, you had stuff on the street, and that's what some of the members of the property up there.
Then put a policeman there 24/7 until this changes. It's not my fault that other people are going to T.W. Nickerson, and then because they can't dump there, they need their truck empty to finish a job, they dump on me before they leave the road. I'm not home, I'm working.
Carol, any comments you'd like to offer for the,
Well, I agree with Noble. I think we should proceed the next step.
right? Okay,
I'm for that too,
all right,
you know.
all right.
Well, I have to go. I have a family member that I just found almost dead, so I'm going to go
Okay,
take that.
okay,
Well, I'm going to do in the next 7 days. You can come by and take pictures. If you're not satisfied, pull me in again. Okay? Enjoy your lives.
okay. Judy, did you want to say something?
I think we've heard this story many
Yeah.
times over the years. I've heard from other people that he takes people's metal and collects it there. So I don't think it's just people dropping things off there. I think people know that he will take it and agrees to take it, and that has created the problem. I think Dick is correct that the problem does extend into the property with all kinds of debris, tires, propane tanks, et cetera, that are of concern for being a fire hazard, as well as other types of public health nuisances. So I think it's a continued problem that's not going to go away in 7 days.
Okay. I would welcome a motion from a board member to proceed with the. Well, before we vote on anything. I would welcome a motion from a board member proposing that we proceed with the next legal steps per town council to move ahead with the process that we have discussed in the past of moving ahead to arrange to have the property cleaned through a town contractor, citing the self-help remedy which is available in the state statute. And then whatever steps the town council lays out for us in the near future in terms of establishing on-site inspections, dimensions, you've got to have something to define the scope of the work that we're looking to see done. So, Noble?
Yeah, so just, that was my question. The legal counsel will know what this self-help remedy is and the role of inspection and when that occurs and how
Yes.
we document it and the town offsets and all that. Okay, that's,
But I mean, it would be, our motion would be to forward to him
Start the
the green
process
light,
through legal
to proceed with whatever steps need to now be taken to continue along that pathway that we've discussed. So can I get a motion to that effect?
Yes, Ed Sheehan, I agree. And I think it's positive.
Okay, do we have the motion? Or do we want somebody to?
yeah, I can make a formal motion that we move forward with the next step, working with legal counsel on a self-help remedy that will describe the whole process. And I think that's all we need for tonight to get get action going.
And there will be, there will be opportunity for Mr. McGrath to get due notice on what's going to be happening and when. And if Mr. McGrath decides at some point to make a real concerted effort to get that property cleaned up, the board will consider that at that time. But I think we are obligated to move ahead, in my opinion, with what we've started, and I would welcome that motion from Noble. Can I get a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, Carol, we have a second. Does anybody from the public wish to comment on this motion before the Board of Health considers it? Okay. Any further Board of Health discussion? Any comments from Director Duncanson?
No, I was just going to say, remember, you still have Alan on the call if he wants to weigh in.
Alan, are you on the call? Dr. Ward, are you on the call still? Maybe I don't hear Al. Maybe you're on mute, Al.
I'm unmuted.
Okay, Al, Dr. Ward, do you have any input, any comments you'd like to make at this point?
No, I'm with Ed, having watched this for a number of years, and so I'm in favor of the motion.
Okay. Well, let's call.
I could make one other comment.
Sure.
This is Richard Edwards. Mr. McGrath seems to think that a lot of this material in his yard is dumped in his yard illegally. And I would suggest that he post no dumping signs if he truly does not want that to happen.
That's not a bad suggestion.
I think we went through that once before,
Yeah.
Judy. Didn't we go post him before?
I don't remember ever posting, but I certainly think that should occur, especially once we clean it up. I think we have the broken window syndrome here where there's stuff there and people just keep adding to it.
It's an attractive nuisance
It's an
for
attractive
additional-
nuisance, yes.
Okay.
I think he did state that he does not like signs, and I think that's where he was going with that he doesn't want to post it, no. But there seems to be that it would be possible for the police to take notice and monitor the situation if he really wanted it to happen. But I think he makes money off the material that's dumped there.
All right, I'd like to call the question. So, Dr. Hanson, how do you vote on the motion?
Approve?
Ed Sheehan, how do you vote on the motion?
Yes.
Carol Boyce?
Approve.
I vote to approve. Dr. Alan Ward? Dr. Alan Ward, are you going to vote?
I've been muted again. I approve.
Thank you. Dr. Richard Edwards?
I approve.
Okay, so the motion passes Judy and Dr. Bob have our intent here to proceed, and we stand by and are waiting to hear whatever the next steps are going to be.
Yep.
And Mr. McGrath will be advised accordingly as the timetable unfolds.
Yes.
Okay. So that's item 1 on the agenda done. I'd like to now go to item 2 or item 4, which is an update discussion of COVID-19 with Dr. Robert Duncanson, Director of Health and Natural Resources. Dr. Duncanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a whole lot to update you on this week, which of course is great news compared to what we've talked about previously. We still have, well, not still, we have 327 cases in Chatham since the beginning of the pandemic. We've had 1 case reported so far in June, which is great considering we're already at the 21st of the month. That's our lowest count, honestly, in many, many months. There's been no change from the state in terms of any of their guidance. As you know, pretty much everything at the state level disappeared on May 29th, except things like their travel advisory remains in effect, as well as their mask guidance document, which basically indicates that for individuals that are not fully vaccinated, they should continue to wear masks in indoor settings when they can't social distance. Other than that, I think we all are, we seem to have gotten over the Memorial Day hump when we were concerned that, there might be an upsurge in cases just because of, so many people relaxing right around that time of the year. And I think we're all as a nation just keeping our eye on the Delta variant from India, which as of yesterday afternoon was in 46 of the 50 states. I suspect today it's probably been reported in all 50 states. It is more highly contagious. The jury is still somewhat out on whether it's more lethal, but clearly it's more highly contagious and is targeting the younger demographic, primarily unvaccinated folks. And unfortunately, across the country, there has been an upsurge in cases among young unvaccinated people. And a lot of the cases seem to be more severe, seem to be indicating more hospitalizations. And they're primarily tied to this Delta variant. So, the push is still on. The public health message is still, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, to go ahead and get vaccinated. And as we all know, even once you're vaccinated, it still takes 2 weeks after that second dose. So given the fact that, Pfizer and Moderna, there's 3 to 4 weeks in between doses, if you got vaccinated today, it could still be 6 weeks before you're fully vaccinated. And the data has shown with the Delta variant, with only one vaccine dose, the efficacy rate is about 33%. You really need that second dose, and then it jumps up to 80 and 85% protective against that Delta variant. So it's really critical for people that are not vaccinated to go ahead and get vaccinated. And vaccine is still widely available. The state was shutting down 2 of their mass vaccination sites this week. The Heinz Convention Center, I believe, has already closed. I believe that closed yesterday. And then one other location is closing either tomorrow or Thursday. But there's still plenty of vaccine at pharmacies and health centers and doctors' offices and many other locations. So with that, that's pretty much all I've got to report on today.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Duncanson?
Yeah, I have a question. So is it true that the businesses downtown can still require mask wearing inside their businesses? And I'm thinking of the parade, for instance. And the other one, the billboard sign, the electronic sign at the Rotary, basically I think it says not vaccinated, wear a mask. Will that stay in effect through the parade, do you think?
Yes, I don't see why not. I had him change the sign to, if not vaccinated, please wear a mask. So we're not mandating it because the board got rid of your mandate, but we're trying to encourage folks. I don't see any reason why we can't keep that sign up through the parade. And then in terms of local businesses, yes, it is up to local businesses. If they want to still require mask wearing in their particular establishment, they are free to do so. We distributed some signage through the Chamber of Commerce that kind of, conveyed that message that was developed at the county level so that the same message would be throughout the Cape. And some businesses have taken advantage of that and others aren't. But yes, at this point, it's up to their individual level of concern as to whether or not they make mask wearing mandatory.
Thank you.
Do you want to update us on the PFAS situation? What are we doing now? Are we blending, or are we just have that shut down, well 5?
Oh, sure. So quick update on PFAS. Well number 5 remains offline. We did get some results last Thursday of the first set of samples. They took 2 samples out of well number 5. They took 2 samples out of well number 8. And then they took 2 samples of both of those wells blended together. And I'm happy to report the results were all below the state's limit of 20. So, it's kind of different because previous to that, we'd had 3 samples out of well number 5 that were increasing all the way up to as high as 56. These samples, for whatever reason, the 2 that were taken were down in the 9 and 10 range. And then when wells 5 and 8 were blended together, we were down in the 7 parts per trillion range. So that data just came in. We've sent it off to the engineers. They're still evaluating that. We also got some test results back on well number 4, which is the well right out here by Indian Hill. That well, as you know, has been offline since the 90s because of MTBE. Because of PCE. MTBE was wells 10 and 11. Because of PCE that was in high levels, forced us to shut that well down. And then based on community input, even though we could have run that well at lower levels to keep below the standard, the community really didn't want that well utilized at all. So that well's been offline. It has been tested regularly, and we did do a prolonged pump test in that well. The results of that came back. Basically, everything was non-detectable, including PCE. So the engineers are now, a contract has been signed with Weston and Sampson. And the engineers are in the process of designing the chemical additions that will be needed to bring that well online. So we'll have to provide for chlorination as well as polyphosphates to control the pH of the water. The goal is to try to get that well online either late this month or the beginning of next month, given the fact that we are in this drought situation. It's been a little confounded, if you will, because of the blending results that came in as good as they did. I don't think any of us expected to come in as low as they did. But we're still going to move ahead with getting well number 4 back online as quickly as can. And then the results from the blending of wells 5 and 8 have been sent to DEP, and we're waiting for their review of those results and their input as to what the next steps may be.
But even without blending, well 5 is good now.
Even without blending, the latest test results from well 5 indicated it was below the state's limit of 20.
Wow.
Yes, which was surprising. I think we were all somewhat surprised at those. But it was based.
The limit is about 50.
The what?
The federal limit is much higher, right?
The EPA's health advisory is at 70 parts per trillion. The
And we were under
Massachusetts
20.
drinking water regulation, which is a mandatory regulation, is 20. And we were below that. Like I said, somewhat surprisingly, considering the 3 samples before that were elevated. So we're all just trying to look at that, review. There's going to be more tests taken before any decisions would be made about blending or not blending and introducing it into the system.
Just quickly, I think at the town meeting, I think somebody said in passing, mentioned home water filtration systems would remove this, but the question is, does a regular home filtration system that somebody might have actually remove this material from the water?
I addressed that question at a town meeting because it did come up. There are home treatment units that people put on their own internal plumbing or right at the faucet. Some of those systems do meet the EPA's health advisory of 70. I am not aware of any systems that get down to the Massachusetts limit of 20. So I would, as I did at town meeting and I will do again, I urge caution for anybody thinking, I'm just going to run out and buy a Brita filter or whatever and, hook it on the faucet and I'm good. If you want to go that route, you really need to research with the vendor and make sure that their system will get down below the Massachusetts standard. Because, as you said, the EPA's health advisory is almost 3 times higher. So.
Thank you. We have a couple of additional business items to attend to tonight, including the approval of 2 Board of Health minutes, one for May 26th, 2021, and another set of minutes for June 7th. So can I get a motion to, well, first, let me ask, does anybody have any edits or corrections or a need to change anything in May 26th? If not, can I get a motion to accept? Can I get a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Noble.
Second, Noble.
Okay. All in favor of approving the, accepting the minutes for May 26, 2021 as submitted to us, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. We also have minutes for June 7th. Does anybody have any edits or corrections or need to change any of the wording in that set of minutes? If not, can I get a motion to accept the minutes of June 7th?
Noble, motion to accept the minutes of June 7th.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second from Carol. All right, all in favor of accepting the minutes, approving the motion just made to accept the minutes of June 7th, 2021, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I don't hear any. So that's the end of our agenda, our business agenda for tonight. Any final comments or questions anybody would like to make before we adjourn? Can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. From Ed, do I get a second?
Second.
Second from Carol. All in favor of passing the motion to adjourn, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I don't hear any. So the meeting for tonight is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming and participating.